Welcome to the Windjammer on the Serenade of the Seas in June of 2023. Hey everyone, I'm Patrick from Oakland Travel, and it's a little 5-night cruise for us going over to Key West and Perfect Day at Coco Cay. Our first time in the Windjammer. They have just opened. It's around right at 11 o'clock, maybe a few minutes after. The sign out front said 11:30, but they were gracious enough to let us in, so that's why you don't see very many people in here, because a lot of people are still boarding the ship. It's extremely early. This was the first boarding group, I think, that we were part of. We were literally sitting in the terminal waiting for them to start letting the very first passengers on, and we were part of the very first group. So I was kind of just debating whether or not to try to record any video of like the food. I ended up doing it later on because I didn't want to get in anybody's way with the camera, because that's always kind of a thing. Like, it's cool to get video of the food at the buffet, but you don't want to like hold up the lines and stuff. So I decided to do that later on. So kind of jumped to where we've already eaten, and now we're sort of just getting ready to leave, and But the buffet, the Windjammer in Serenade, of course, is not as big as a lot of other the ships, because the ship itself is not that wide. It's a smaller ship, but they make good use of their space. So when you walk in, you kind of find the same thing on both sides. So you'll walk in, and there'll be like a station kind of right in the middle as you're coming in, and then you've got a couple stations to the right, a couple stations to the left. And you'll notice that they're serving the same food on the right side of the ship as they are on the left side of the ship. And the cool thing too is that for each, the breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because we ended up having all 3 meals in here over the course of the cruise, they are very consistent in terms of where they place the food. So once you kind of remember, like, oh, it's breakfast and I want scrambled eggs, that means I got to go over to this side of this one station, and they're right there every time. And same thing with lunch. You just kind of notice that consistency factor of where they place the food each time, so that makes it easier to find everything. This layout is pretty interesting because not only is the Windjammer inside pretty decent size in terms of seating, but you've got 2 different outdoor seating areas. You've got a forward section, which is right here on the port side of the ship, I believe. But you've also got a similar outdoor section on the other side that's kind of in front of the Windjammer. And then on the back side of the Windjammer, where Rita's Cantina is, you've got a huge outdoor sort of patio back there that gives you the really good wake view. So when you go into the Windjammer for any of the meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, whatever, you have plenty of options. You can sit indoors in the air conditioning, because this was June in Florida, so it's hot. Or you can go to the outdoor seating, the front section that's kind of closer to the pool. Or you can go through those back sliding doors and go out by Rita's Cantina and sit right there at Rita's and get a drink. Or you can go all the way around to the very back of the ship and you sit out there with your food, and you've got the wake view. So the Windjammer is really nice on the Serenade of the Seas. One of my favorite parts of the ship. As a matter of fact, we ended up having dinner in the Windjammer twice because we weren't crazy about the menu they had going on in the main dining room that night. Every breakfast was in the Windjammer. About half of the lunches. There's a couple days where we didn't really do lunch. We just sort of grabbed like some, snacks or something. But we hit the Windjammer quite a few times during the cruise.